Good morning, everybody. Who of you is working in the creative business? Oh, great. Who has children too? Okay. So I guess everybody has some topic about children, and I came to my studies with design studies with already one child. So I always had the topic child and children within my design thinking. I'm going to talk about relationships. I'm going to talk about interaction. I'm going to talk about, I'm not going to talk about my past. I'm not going to talk about your past. And I think, where did I put the clicker? Sorry. Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to talk about the relationship from the very beginning. And childhood means the lifespan from from birth to 10 years old. Who cares? Children nowadays have a different response to what's happening around them. So in my childhood, nobody really took care about what we thought as children. And the response from our parents was not as much as today. Today, everybody is talking very much with the children. And we know from psychology that talking with the children from the beginning is very important to build the brain, to communicate and to interact and build social connections. So my topic, what I like to do with my design thinking is to recreate learning and education in itself. So I come to that later on. I found this on a fair in southern Bavaria, and it was the topic about education and how business could get involved into education more. So the children would not come out of school to not actually use their knowledge, but get more curious about what business is really about. So I'm going to start with a video, and it's interesting just to see. It's an experiment, and how the interaction between the baby and the mother actually is full of insights, can be full of insights. So thank you.
Babies this young are extremely responsive to the emotions and the reactivity and the social interaction that they get from the world around them. This is something that we started studying 30, 40 years ago, when people didn't think that infants could engage in social interaction. In the still face experiment, what the mother did was she sits down and she's playing with her baby, who's about a year of age.
I'm like a girl. Oh.
And she gives a greeting to the baby gives a greeting back to her.
Yeah.
This baby starts pointing at different places in the world, and the mother's trying to engage her and play with her. They're working to coordinate their emotions and their intentions, what they want to do in the world. And that's really what the baby is used to. And then we ask the mother to not respond to the baby. The baby very quickly picks up on this. And then she uses all of her abilities to try and get the mother back. She smiles at the mother. She points because she's used to the mother looking where she points. The baby puts both hands up in front of her and says, "What's happening here?" She makes that screechy sound at the mother, like, "Come on, why aren't we doing this?" Even in this 2 minutes, when they don't get the normal reaction, they react with negative emotions, they turn away, they feel the stress of it, they actually may lose control of their posture because of the stress that they're experiencing.
Okay. I'm here. And what are you doing? Oh, no. Girl.
It's a little like the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good is that normal stuff that goes on, that we all do with our kids. The bad is when something bad happens, but the infant can overcome it. After all, when you stop the still face, the mother and the baby start to play again. The ugly is when you don't give the child any chance to get back to the good. There's no reparation, and they're stuck in that really ugly situation.
Okay. What I learned about that was there are so many varieties in responding to a child's behavior, or vice versa. The child is responding to a variety of actions of the mother. And I think what can be learned here is the expectation that's rising when nothing happens. And thinking of customer experience, for example, when the customer stands somewhere and waits and gets no response to anything, it's almost the same thing happening. We don't recognize it anymore because we're used to it. But actually, it's the same procedure. We get nervous, we don't really know what to do, and actually get negative emotions about it. So I think that's a good insight for customer experience research too. I try to, actually, it's a story from my own background. My children, I try to raise the frustration tolerance. And when they were sitting in their chair, children's chair, while I was cooking, I didn't react on what they're doing. And when they expected response from me, it was, well, sometimes I had to cook. I didn't want to burn the potatoes or something, and it didn't go fast enough. They started throwing toys at me. So you can get some riots behavior too. So actually, and studying behavior means the riot didn't get really the channel to be expressed. And we need riots to get creative, to keep our creativity alive. So usually you get into situations, and I'm creative too, I like to get really in time pressure to get more out of my creativity. So yeah, I use my own pressure, I use my own stress to get more out of it. Yeah, I think I have, yeah, the London riots. That's actually just an example for not having a channel to get all the anger and all the emotions, the negative emotions, into productivity. And yeah. This child's a little older, and the heroes, the personal heroes we're looking for, the response we get, and the relationship we build, like the parents, the mother at first, and the parents, the dad, and all the relatives around them afterwards, school, kindergarten. I have to talk about kindergarten first, is what we need for bonding, for socializing, for social experiments, for, and these are great. Children have a great creativity in experimenting with social interactions. And looking at that, if you watch them, maybe outside when you go shopping or something, or with your relatives, you see how creative they can get with interactions. And it's almost like adults do. I wouldn't be so manipulative to anybody else as children actually are. So yeah, what's happening when we get enraged, when children get loud and get enraged, they're being judged as negative. And what happens then is we get into competition. Like our normal nursing behaviors are that people tend to judge over negative behavior as alright, or loudness as negative. And responding negative to the children is always manipulating them into competition. The biggest competition we face is actually school, because we have the system of we have the system of voting. It's not voting. What is it? Rates. We are ranking children, and actually that's not helping to cooperate, to collaborate. And actually that's what we use as competence for later on in work. We need team people. We need people that are able to interact socially better than having competition in a team. Yeah, that's a nice picture I took of an artist, and I think it shows good and well how we relate to things and people. When children grow older, they relate to people, not to things. When they have the age of 5 and 6, they relate to objects. And what happens is that they don't have the variety as with social interactions. Due to that, the creativity lowers. There was an experiment with children in school with the age of up to 8, and they discovered that creativity and the actually finding solutions and the skill to find solutions lowers with every year they are in school. This is similar to Gardner. I took the one of Rudolf Steiner because it's a little more creative, a little more colorful for me. The 12 senses. It's not 5 senses physically. They experiment with, it's 12 senses. They have a sense of life, they have a sense of thought, children. They have a sense of heat, they are little philosophers. So if you actually ask them, you get a response to topics. And that's practically relative new, because years ago, 30 years ago, they didn't get a response asking children. What we do today is include children in design processes. So you get a response, you get an answer to what they like, what they dislike, what they would like to have changed, and that's pretty cool. So we actually get a better insight into what the future could bring faster. Yeah, curiosity. That's what I want to keep up with children. And I did my research in my own arts classes for children and children museums. And what I found out in my arts classes was I had the children there not really being creative for themselves. They wanted to have a goal they could design for, they could paint for, they could do something for. And, oh, it's the wrong one here. And actually, they waited for being judged by their parents, by the other kids in the class. So what I wanted them to do, and it actually took about 9 months until they understood what I wanted, that I didn't ask for any result that could be judged. I just wanted them to do that for themselves and do playful experiments with their creativity. So it took quite a while until they understood I'm not the one that judges them. And I asked the parents not to judge them too. So they just followed their path, and that's what I wanted. I wanted them to find their own way of expression, find their own way of how to get their senses open and find solutions randomly. In children's museums, you often get displays with where you can interact with science. So you have the science as background to play with. So it's a playful experience for the children, and that's what I wanted to see, what actually tackles them to interact with. Do they go there alone? Do they have to do it with other people? Or how is the access to how do they approach what they want to find out, and what's the possibility to find out in the touch points there? It's very nice to actually see in the children's museums how children react on these interfaces. And not electronic, but very, you find many kinder museums where they have some elderly man actually creating these touch points where they rebuild something or make something out of wood and actually trash to show them how waves function, how sound waves go, how water waves go, and actually wonderful displays. I support Design for Change in Germany. They are building up a network for workshops in school. And what we try to is get change from within schools. So include children, include everybody in every sense we can get to redesign classes and make that for children more creative, more interesting, more vital to experiment with and the topics and find for themselves what they actually want to work on. This comes from India. It's a design student that founded the school, Riverside School in India, and she had many projects that already got social impact in India. If you see, you can see here how much impact they already had. I think it's 15 years now that she founded the first school, and it has great efforts in India. So we're trying to implement this here in Germany and plan workshops here in school. So don't fade to grey. It's a call for creativity, and it's a call for a different thinking of how we educate the future employees. Thank you.